the theme song indicates, we are Karima
and Anthony.
And this is Sober Sophistication, the podcast. We discuss everything love, lifestyle, and non-alcoholic wines.
That's right.
And tonight, y'all, we have just a wonderful, wonderful guest. We are crazy excited to have this guest on our platform today. If you know anything about Magnolia Crescent Orchards and Non-Alcoholic Winery, which is our company, you know that we are the biggest supporters and champions of this mocktail or sober experience space. Right. And so anyone who is out there doing incredible things, we are all for it. Yes. So I just want to go ahead and read a little bio about who we have on tonight before my husband brings them on. So tonight we have Derick Santiago. He is a mixologist that is based in Southern California. It never rains in Southern California.
They say it never rains in Southern California.
He is the creator of @Mocktail Wiz. That's WIZ, not to be confused with Wiz Kid. And he is on his Instagram page, and his website is dedicated to craft mocktails and non-alcoholic cocktail recipes and mindful mixology techniques. He has worked as a mocktail recipe designer. He is a photographer and a video creator with leading brands in the non-alcoholic beverage industry. So he is a heavyweight, y'all.
Exactly.
So he is also, for more information, you can reach out to him on mocktailwiz.com, which is right there. That's his website. Please jot that down. And tonight we are going to be talking about his book. Yes. The Mocktail Club.
That's right.
Don't you want to be a part of the Mocktail Club, y'all? I know you do. So without further ado, please, Sober Sophistication fam, let us please warmly welcome Derick Santiago.
Yay. Thank you for having me. And thank you for the kind words. You guys are awesome.
You are awesome. We have been talking about this since we saw your pre-order notification on your Instagram for your book. And as soon as I saw it, I was like, ooh, order.
Thank you.
So my husband has like crazy questions to ask, so let's go ahead and get started.
I promise you, they're not crazy questions.
I'm ready.
Well, first of all, just to share with the audience, the book, the Mocktail Club. When I tell you, my wife ordered it, and she really presented it to me as a gift. And upon first look at this book, I was immediately attracted to the beauty of it. It's not a big book in terms of size. It's a hardback, but just the choice and colors, the picture on the cover, as you can see, it's beautiful. And on the inside, you just have some very nice glossy pictures.
Yeah.
And I'm into the fonts. I'm into how the borders of the page and some of the things is very decorative. It's phenomenal. And when I tell you, this gentleman, when it says classic recipes, he means that recipe, not just for the mocktails, but for the syrups that go into the mocktails. Basically, he's giving you everything that you need to learn how to prepare and how to entertain, to be hopefully as good as of a mixologist as he is. So once again, Derick, thank you so much for taking time and welcome you to the Sober Sophistication podcast. How are you doing this evening, sir? Or this afternoon? You're in California, so
I am.
Afternoon.
I am. Thank you again for having me. And it's funny you mentioned it never rains in California. It is raining today. We had a few days of sun, but now it's raining. But still good. Still a good day. So thank you for having me.
No problem. So Derick, tell us about yourself. How did you get started in mixology, and what inspired you to write this beautiful book? And look, before you answer that question. When I opened it up and I saw the copyright date, and I'm like, this it's 2024. I mean, this book is brand spanking new. I think I started reading it probably the first or second week of January. And I was like, it can't be. This book literally just came out and I had it in my hand. So this is excellent. So go ahead.
Yeah.
Tell us about yourself and how you got
Yeah.
mixology.
Yeah, it is brand new. It came out on January 2nd. So the how it started really, it's always tied to my decision to change my relationship with alcohol. So this started out 2 years ago. June 6th is when I stopped drinking, and even before that, I've been into mixology.
Yes.
I had a short stint in London where I was immersed in the pub culture and just the sophisticated cocktail scene. So I took a mixology class there, and this is back in 2015. And ever since, I've been interested and been doing mixology for my friends and family. And funny enough, when I decided to change my relationship with alcohol in 2022, I thought that I would have to stop that hobby because I'm not drinking anymore, right? I was sharing this with a friend. It's a little petty, but I bought this nice bar cabinet as my one splurge in our new place, and I thought I was sad because I thought that I'm not going to be able to use the bar cabinet anymore, and it's going to be empty. And but when I stopped drinking, what I found was even though I didn't want to consume alcohol anymore, I still wanted something nice to drink. Um, this first manifested when I first did my meal prepping on a Saturday
Okay.
sober. And that's when I was like, oh, I need something right now. And so I whipped up a quick spicy pineapple margarita with just muddled jalapenos and pineapple juice and club soda and the chili lime seasoning. And that scratched the itch for me. And that's when I thought, I can actually transfer my mixology skills into mocktail mixology. And I found that it's a challenge because you don't have alcohol, and removing the alcohol removes a lot of the texture. Alcohol is a great carrier of flavor, so you kind of you're at a disadvantage in terms of coming up with sophisticated drinks. And I took that as a challenge. And then a few weeks later, I posted on Instagram, my personal Instagram, and somehow that got attention. So I thought, oh, there's an interest in this. So that's when I started creating, when I created Mocktail Wiz as a separate account dedicated to sharing recipes.
Well, thank you so much. You said a lot in that answer. One thing that really stood out to me is about alcohol being a great carrier of flavor. Now, my wife and I, we don't drink, have not drank alcohol for probably easily over 2 decades now. When I did drink alcohol, I like to say I was a cheap drinker. Like I don't want to spend anybody's money. I mean, I don't want to spend my money. If somebody else wanted to spend money, help yourself. But my point is, I was not, I would say, steeped enough in the culture to really pick up on the reason why alcohol, other than the buzz, but what was it about it that made it such a central part in alcohol, so-called adult beverages. So when you talk about texture and when you talk about it being a carrier of flavor, that's very insightful for me, because when having conversations with people and you're sharing with them why we provide non-alcoholic beverages, it's like it doesn't have any alcohol, and that's kind of the conversation. It cuts off right there.
Yeah.
But it's a lot more nuanced in terms of what it is that the alcohol does provide. You know what I mean? And so I appreciate you providing that insight, because it allows me and I think my wife to even have a more nuanced conversation to say, well, with this mocktail, you can have some of the texture, you can have a way to use some of the flavors, even though it doesn't have alcohol in it.
Yeah. And that's actually what that became my goal on the mocktails that I make. Is because of that disadvantage, I kind of outsource, let's say, the texture in other ingredients. So sometimes I would use egg whites, or if you're vegan, the chickpea water in the can, that produces foam in the drink and adds texture,
Oh,
right? And
wow.
so it's like you kind of outsource the different aspects of it in creative ingredients, and to me that's been a lot of fun.
You said chickpea water.
Yep.
I didn't know that there was such a
Wow.
thing.
Yeah, they call it aquafaba, and what that basically is your canned chickpea. There's water in there that's kind of starchy. That's
Yes.
Yeah.
what you put into the mocktail or a cocktail to replace egg whites, because when you shake it, it gives you that same foam.
Hmm. Interesting. Interesting. So one thing I loved about just opening the book, and there was a beautiful dedication to your mother, and you
Mhm.
credit her love in the field of culinary, of everything culinary, and how that inspired you in terms of mixology. And as
Mhm.
you're describing what we were just speaking about with the first question, and even when you talked about how you did the spicy jalapeno with the pineapple, it spoke to me about, in my mind, I started thinking about somebody who was very well versed in preparing meals. So, can you tell us about your mother and her love
Mhm.
of all things culinary, and how that has how that informed you in terms of your developing knowledge and passion with mixology?
Yep. And immediately I started to get emotional. I lost my mom in 2020. And
Yes.
so, but I grew
Please.
up in the Philippines, and I remember being a child just looking at different recipe books, and that's what we would do, my mom and I, and we would be looking at these things. And I grew up in the provinces, and so a lot of the ingredients are not available to us. And so this is where my mom demonstrated her imagination and her creativity, because not all the ingredients are available to us in the provinces in the Philippines, and so she would come up with something else to substitute. And
Mhm.
then as I started working, we started having more uh, living a more comfortable life, and we were now able to afford things that are being called upon in these recipe books. And that was just my mom's I would say love language is cooking and preparing for us. And she's very experimental too, not just Filipino food, but she would look at other Asian cuisine. She would mimic dishes that she watches from American television. So I just grew up with that kind of love for culinary. And then because I moved to the US 10 years ago, and suddenly I had to cook for myself because the greatest cook is far away. And so she taught me, well, I've picked up some things when I was back home, but then I let her shine because that's her love language. So
Yeah.
we just let her cook for us because she loves doing that. And then when I moved here, I'm like, now mommy needs to teach me because I need to cook for myself. And she would teach me how to cook via FaceTime, and she was so good. Like she's not a measurer, she would just just eyeball things, and she would like, okay, just pour the soy sauce. I'll tell you when to stop. And I'm like, Mom, it could lag our connection, you know. But she was so good. It always turned out to be great. And meanwhile, while I was doing that, I was measuring it for my own
Yes.
reference.
Yes.
But,
Yeah.
but anyway, that's how the exposure to experimentation, and because we grew up with limited resources, she was very creative in substituting things. And so I think I got that from her. Now that we like in the thing that I do, I don't put alcohol, so I'm like always thinking of how do I substitute it,
Hmm.
or so I think that's the whole inspiration and just the general creativity I got it from my mom.
There's a saying that
Beautiful.
necessity is the mother of invention.
Hmm.
I can, in you sharing that narrative of your family story, and even your journey going to the UK and taking that class, and even how now you are into videography and photography. It's just like you are tapped into your creative side, and it's coming across, and it's beautiful. And like these recipes, you all have to get this book, because I tell you this: if you ever think about mocktails as being dull, When you read these recipes, you will see it is the complete opposite of it. I mean,
Yes.
I reading this. Look, I haven't even got started yet, Derick. I'm telling you, I'm so excited to get started. Now we have a 13-year-old son who's an aspiring chef.
Uh-huh.
He at this point he probably does the lion's share of the cooking in our house.
Oh, I love that.
And so, like, I like to watch him. He'll go in there, and it's like he's creating. He may not even have, Karima will give him some ideas. Okay, these are the base ingredients. Okay, we want some cauliflower, we want this, we want that. And he'll just start, he get the spice rack and he'll do all these things and he gets his creativity going. So I love to see that. And I think this is going to help me. Really. I mean,
Thank you.
Genuinely, this will help me tap into my creative side, which is something that I've been wanting to really tap into. I didn't know how I was going to do it. I don't know if it was going to be visual art or music, but it's going to be mocktails. So,
thank you.
Look, we thank you. Quality control, right? So we do have, I know you have many questions, but we do have a question coming in. Like a lot of our viewers are, they like to type in their questions. Mm-hmm. So we have a question from Hazar Rashad. He's with Essential Brother, which is a support group for Black men who are on sobriety journeys. Awesome. And so his question is, what was the inspiration behind the lavender lemon drop martini? Because he said it sounds great.
I agree, Hazar.
Yeah. Yeah, that's actually really good. So I liked lemon drop martinis when I was drinking because, and this was like earlier, because I think that the more I drank, the harder the alcohol I wanted, like the stronger I wanted the alcohol to be. But earlier on, lemon drop martini is basically citrus flavored vodka and then lemon and then simple syrup, right? So, but the interesting thing about vodka is, that's why it's if it's not the citrus kind, it's just neutral, right? And with the non-alcoholic spirits that are available right now, or at least at the time that I was writing the book, there wasn't any vodka alternatives out there. And I think that's going to be hard because there's no flavor to mimic, right? So I just looked at the other components in the lemon drop and I said, oh, lemon, right, is needed there. What goes well with lemon? And I know lavender goes really well with lemon. And then also, since I don't have a vodka alternative, but I do have gin, and gin is botanical in nature. So I thought the botanicals of gin would go well with lavender. And so that's how I kind of landed with a lavender lemon drop martini, so that you can still have a lemon drop martini. It may not be citrus forward, but it's floral and botanical.
Wow.
Great question, Hazar, and great answer, Derick.
Thank you.
Thank you.
One thing that I love early on in the book is that you go over mocktail terminology and you discuss the importance of it. So can you please share with the audience what the mocktail terminology is and why is it important to understand it?
Yeah, so mocktails by definition are just cocktails without the alcohol. So the definition is very straightforward, but you'll see in the industry now that there are newer terms that we'd like to use, like zero proof, non-alcoholic cocktails, etc. And then what I've also observed is that there's a portion of the community that dismisses the word mocktail because of it. If it has had a bad rap of being just mixture of juices. And so to me, what I'm trying to change that. I'm trying to redefine the word mocktail. But the reason why I wrote that section is because I think because some people like to use the newer words, it sometimes ends up being incorrect. And I wanted to clarify that because it's important to some people. Like if you call a cocktail a zero proof cocktail, I would expect there's no alcohol there. However, if you so just to define it, zero proof and alcohol free in the United States legally should mean 0.0% alcohol. Non-alcoholic cocktail or spirit in the United States legally can have up to 0.5% alcohol,
Mhm.
and that 0.5% of alcohol can come from different places. So there are non-alcoholic beverages, mostly wine and beer, that involve the alcohol in the creation process, and then they remove the alcohol later, and you have remnants. So that would be the 0.5% alcohol. But some are developed from scratch. They kind of build this from scratch, but because of the fermentation, it develops some alcohol in the resulting product, leading to 0.5%. So to me, there's a lot of nuances here. And so I thought to define it. If it's non-alcoholic, it can have up to 0.5% alcohol. But if it's zero proof, it should be zero point 0.0, not zero point 0.5. So I think the word zero proof gets misused a lot. Because sometimes I've seen people call a mocktail a zero proof cocktail, but then they use non-alcoholic spirits that have 0.5% there. So to me, that can be misleading. So that portion of the book is an attempt to educate people and to be hopefully have people be mindful about it. Because to me personally, I don't care about 0.5% because to me that doesn't matter. But there are people, especially those in recovery,
Yes.
who would not appreciate having that, or at least we should make them aware that what they're drinking has traces of alcohol, because
Exactly.
even though that's minuscule in amount, it could mean different things to different people.
Absolutely. And it's funny because when we first started, um, non-alcoholic was not um, a thing, especially in the Black community, especially, right? It was very rare that we would come across someone who was in the non-alcoholic space
Mhm.
until we were introduced to Christopher with Sands Bar.
Chris, yeah.
And he, when we found out how long he had been in the non-alcoholic space, we were like, wow. And so when we first started, we were not aware that there was a difference between non-alcoholic and alcohol-free.
Mhm.
And so when we expanded our orchard to then become the premier non-alcoholic winery, um, really a better description for us was alcohol-free winery, because all of our products are zero point 0.0.
Oh,
So
that's
it
awesome.
so it became an educational moment even for us,
Yes.
as this industry is evolving and more players are coming to the table, and
Mhm.
the offerings are changing, because now you have even pre-made mixed drinks that
Yeah,
are
ready to
alcohol
drink.
free,
Yeah.
and so all of this language, the mindful drinker, and
Yep.
everything is just kind of evolving that way. So we definitely appreciate in your book you taking the time to break that down, because there is a lot of confusion.
Yeah, thank you. I'm glad you found it helpful.
It was. Derek, in our journey, we've had a lot of interactions with people because we started doing like these pop-ups.
Mhm.
So our first pop-ups, we took part in what was called a cake and sip, where we partnered with the chef who was actually baking cakes. And
Ooh.
it was like it was a fun event. And when they were decorating the cakes, we would come in and we would have our non-alcoholic wine, and we would
Well,
actually
that's
do like a tasting, and we would do some education, and we would pour. And what we found in these environments is people literally coming to us sometimes in tears,
Mhm.
because there was a sense of relief,
Mhm.
because they felt like social pariahs. They felt like outcasts, even
Yeah.
their family members, because they decided they didn't want to drink alcohol.
Mhm.
When
Yep.
you early in your book, you talked about non-alcoholic drinks, in particular the ones that you have these recipes for, having that social cachet that comes along with having regular alcoholic mixed drinks. Can you speak to the importance? Because I think it can't
Mhm.
underestimated nor understated about the social cachet aspect to
Mhm.
mixed drinks. So can you please speak to that?
Yeah, so that I can relate to that. When I was starting out, it's already hard enough to stop drinking and admit to yourself that there is something that that alcohol is doing something to you that maybe is not doing something to everyone else. So
Mhm.
that's already hard. And then you come out there with the best intentions and then with your strong resolve to not drink. And then people start questioning you and kind of challenging you why you're not drinking, or sometimes would be like, oh, just one drink. It's like, it's it I think it's lack of awareness about and just sensitivity to others, because alcohol is so glamorized. And so to me, what got me through that is having something nice to hold and to drink without the alcohol while the others are also drinking. And I gave this comment to a previous article that was released today, that I was sharing that, at least in my area, when I started out almost 2 years ago, you only see like virgin versions of the cocktails, and by
Mhm.
virgin, they just like a virgin mojito, they just remove the rum and give it to you in a big tumbler with no garnish. So it feels like, what's this, water?
Right,
And
right.
The
and
kitty
then
drink.
yeah, the kiddie drink, and it's not adult, it's not delicious, and it doesn't look nice, and so you get questions, and sometimes you just don't want to answer the question. So that's what I'm trying to do, is to just use the platform that I have to make mocktails that are sophisticated, that are served in nice glasses with nice
Yes.
garnishes, but also tastes good. And what I found was, there it depends on your circle. I was out on a business gathering one time, and we were supposed to host clients. So my whole team was there to host clients, and then we were at the bar, and I ordered a mocktail. And they said, "What are you drinking? I thought you're not drinking anymore." And I said, "Oh, this is a mocktail. Doesn't it look good?" And they were like, "Oh, yeah, I need to have my wits with me this evening. I'm going to order a mocktail too." And that just spread like wildfire.
Wow.
Like 8 people ordered the same drink that I ordered that evening.
Mm.
And because they saw that what I had looked like a cocktail,
Yes.
Mm.
it was in a nice glass, and it has a nice garnish, and it only took that view of that drink, and 8 people from regular drinkers ordered mocktail to start with, so they can pace themselves.
Mhm.
Yeah, and I love that you give special and particular attention to this in your book, bar tools and techniques, as well as presentation.
Mhm.
And I love that you use the term sophistication, because this is, our tagline is "We are sober sophistication,"
Yeah.
because the thing that comes to people's minds when you talk about an alcohol-free drink, an adult drink, is dullness,
Yeah.
lack of fun. This is going to be boring.
Mhm.
And so
Mhm.
we learned that not only in terms of how we dress, which we are very intentional when we're out in the public, we're
Love it.
very intentional about how we dress, the kind of energy and spirit that we
Mhm.
bring to what we're doing, but the presentation of the drink is very important. So I think
Mhm.
you're spot on. The look of the thing that people are drinking it has to appeal to all of the senses. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So
Yeah. And, yeah,
go
and
ahead.
to add to that, the look is what would draw them in,
Mm.
right? Because if you're like, oh, this tastes so good, but it looks like it's in a tumbler, it's not appealing.
Right.
And I've done a lot of mocktail demos last month, dry January,
Yes.
and that's how people get drawn to even trying. And yeah, this is one of the events there. And like I said, the appearance is enough to draw people in and pique their interest. And then they try the drink, and they find that, I love the reaction when they say that they can't believe it's not alcoholic. So yeah.
I do too. And look, because in our past, we would get like these almost like nasty little looks at people whenever we would invite them, because we would do a pop up at Market by Macy's. They have 3 of them here in Metro Atlanta, and they have 3 of them in Metro Dallas Fort Worth, and also in Metro Chicago. And we've toured them, and we're like, come on, try this non-alcoholic wine, and they like non-alcoholic wine. They're like, ugh, they look disgusted. And
Yeah.
then, but when they come and taste it, it's like, wow, you know what I mean? And
Yeah.
we like that. We like to say, I told you so. You didn't think it was going to be good, but now we got you. And
Yeah.
it's funny because sometimes they'll literally have their frown. They're like, I'm going to try this anyway. Like they're doing us a favor, right? So I'm going to try. Let me try this little nasty thing. And then they walk in it. You know, it's like the body language and the face
Yeah.
say it all. It's like they've been busted, caught
Yeah.
you. You know what I mean? I love that. I love that
Isn't
reaction.
that awesome? Yeah.
It is awesome.
Now, we showed a little B-roll. Look, we're trying to get a little snazzy. So
That's
we
right.
showed
I
some
love it.
B-roll from a recent event that you hosted. And, you know, one of the misnomers is that mocktails don't require a lot of energy, a lot of work.
Mm.
And I would really love for you to speak to, you know, what is involved in you offering your mocktails.
Yeah, so I think it's quite the opposite because, like I mentioned earlier, we are at a disadvantage without the alcohol, and it's hard to replicate alcohol's burn, the the texture, and just the consistency of it. It's ethanol. It's hard to replicate that without alcohol, and so to me, it involves more creativity uh, to be at the same level as a complex cocktail. And also, what I found was people just assume that when you remove the alcohol, it's cheap. And funny enough, when people remove the alcohol, that the result should be a cheaper product. But actually, when you remove the alcohol, then you don't have that carrier of flavor, and you need to outsource that with other things. And non-alcoholic spirits can be actually expensive, sometimes even more expensive than real alcohol. And so yeah, and so that's why it's like we're trying to change that narrative that alcohol is the expensive ingredient in a cocktail. No, it's not. You know, it's the effort, it's the labor, and it's the creativity that you're paying for.
Yes.
Not really the alcohol.
Yes.
Thank you for that. Thank you. Look, you just helped us for our next 300 customers. So thank you for that one.
And look, as Fat Joe said, yesterday's price
is not
today's price. You can blame Derick for the next time you hire for the event.
Yep.
Because the price is not in the alcohol.
It's not.
But you're right, because even when we were preparing for our very first Mocktail Fest, this was at the Market by Macy's Evergreen Park in Illinois. And that prep work was serious.
Yes.
First, sourcing organic fruit, you know, because that's how we get down, right?
Mm-hmm.
Then cutting up all the fruit, letting it soak overnight, like really kind of marinate and for all the juices to get to know each other and marinate. And when they have it, they taste the difference, but they may not realize the effort that is put into that. So
that is so true.
When you're prepping for, and just specifically about the prepping, even for the event that we have the B-roll for, like how many hours would you say it would take you to prep?
That is a very good question. We actually timed it because so it takes us 2 hours for just juicing, and that's just juicing. Because like you said, the fresh juices is it really makes a difference. And like I feel like in a lot of like low level bars, they can just, because there's alcohol to save the texture and, you know, to hide from, they just use the bottled juices and it's fine because people look for the alcohol in the drinks, but we don't have that. And so we make sure that our juices are freshly squeezed. And it also depends on the mocktails that I'm preparing for that event. We bartended a New Year's Eve party. It's for a nonprofit org that supports people in recovery, and so I was very sensitive to using spirit alternatives. I didn't want to cause people to get triggered, and so I decided to do tea-based mocktails. And my gosh, the the preparation, making those tea, and just steeping them, letting them cool down, and then bottling them, and that it's a lot of preparation. And then also the other things like your cups and your garnishes, right? Because the garnish is important.
Yes.
And so, what are we gonna do here? This is a quick event. Oh, maybe we should just do wedges. No, they need the full experience. We need the lavender too. It's a lot of labor. That's so true.
Yeah, very involved. And one thing we discovered, like you were saying, like at a lower tier bar, it's just a little bit of fruit and just a bunch of alcohol. What we noticed on the converse, as we started getting into trying to find non-alcoholic beverage options, we started to see they just do, sometimes they add a lot of sugar.
Oh yeah.
Just to kind of compensate for the fact that it doesn't have any alcohol. It's just
Yeah.
like, let's just instead of alcohol, let's just give you diabetes. You know what I mean? So,
diabetes in a cup.
that's right.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly.
I thank Hazah for asking that question, because I'm looking at these titles like Mango Rum Cooler, Watermelon Margarita,
Ooh.
Cherry Vanilla
That's good.
Blush, Strawberry Negroni Smash. I mean, these titles just make me want. Look, I can't wait to get in and start making this stuff, man. Because these titles and these. Now, did you take these pictures yourself?
I did not take the photos myself for in the book, but I did take the reference photos, and so even the glasses and the garnish, those were all my photos that they then replicated in a professional studio setting. But it's actually interesting. I thought that there was going to be some creative decisions from the creative team, but no, they literally just took what I built. I'm like, oh my gosh, this is all me. Like in terms of the glasses, the way the ice that I used, and the garnish and how I presented it. But the photographers did a great job. It's like nothing. It's like nothing that I dreamed of. It's really good.
You are. I mean, I'm gonna show some of these pictures. It's not going to do justice because you have to go get the book yourself. This is the Paloma with the clip.
Yeah, that's a good one.
And that is absolutely gorgeous. I mean, these are literally like works of art. This is the coconut margarita. Look at that. I mean, that thing looks like it needs to walk down the runway. It needs to go and be in Fashion Week somewhere. There's some phenomenally awesome looking drinks that you've come up with there. Absolutely.
Well, we're getting ready to kind of wind down our conversation, but we definitely want to get your contact information, make sure everybody knows how to order the book. But I wanted to know, where do you think, number one, this industry is headed?
Excellent.
And two, where do you desire the industry to head in terms of the direction of Mocktails and just the whole conversation about it?
Yeah, that is a great question. So I think that the movement is really moving. Like we're really making waves just with the popularity of Dry January. And so I think that we're heading in the right direction. I'm seeing a lot more options getting offered in restaurants, and that, frankly, that's where I want to see this industry. This industry will land on, is that if I go to a restaurant, there will be serious mocktail options that are not just, oh, this is a virgin mojito. I would love to see mocktail menus that use spirit alternatives, or even if not spirit alternatives, as long as you put enough intention and care and creativity to the drink. Like, I've seen a restaurant use aloe juice as their base, and I appreciated the creativity there, because that's not something that I see usually. And so that's my hope, is for options to be more readily available, and for options to be better for us non-drinkers, because, like you said, all of us I think all of us deserve something nice to drink, whether you consume alcohol or not. And we don't want people feeling left out. So I think that's where I want the industry to be, is more offerings there.
And what do you think is missing?
The first thing that came to mind, I feel like the hardest type of non-alcoholic beverage to master, and I haven't seen a lot of good ones yet, is red wine, non-alcoholic red wine. I've seen I've tried maybe a handful of them, but it's hard to replicate red wine, I would think, because there's no carbonation that could save you, and the texture is kind of different. So I think that's, I think we're also making progress there, but I'm excited for that category to be better.
All right.
Excellent answer.
Okay.
So Derick, once again, thank you very much for sharing your time, your expertise. This has been a wonderful interview. I feel like we've learned a lot.
Absolutely.
I mean, you really have inspired us, really,
definitely,
to just keep going with what we've been doing, and to really, for me, using this book is going to really help me to become more learned.
I love that.
When you're talking about, when you were explaining utilizing the gin because there was no alternative, non-alcoholic alternative to vodka, and how you pair with the lavender, it's like a class. I don't know anything. I'm like, what's he talking about? Floral. But you said it in such a way that I want to learn that. I want to be versed in as much as I can. So I'm inspired. So, ladies and gentlemen, go out and get this book, The Mocktail Club. It's a beautiful. Do it for yourself. If you are somebody who is looking for very delicious ways that you can incorporate non-alcoholic options into your home, if you like to entertain, or if you know somebody who can use this book, this makes an excellent gift. Trust me, nobody that you decide to give this as a gift to will be upset with you.
Oh.
They'll be very well pleased because it's beautiful. And I haven't tasted anything in this book yet, but I already know that they're delicious because they look, I wish I could just eat or drink it from
Look, that's the next edition.
Right. So thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you so much for having me. It's great to meet you both, and I appreciate the chat. I feel like we're friends. That's another thing that I enjoy about the community is just full of amazing people like you two. So thank you so much for having me. Appreciate it.
No problem.
And you are absolutely beautiful.
Oh, thank you.
You are absolutely beautiful.
Oh.
And an extension of you is this book.
Absolutely.
And so I feel like I know you a little bit more from just reading and going through this book and having a window into your spirit and your heart. Yeah. And so I appreciate that you've done this. I'm looking forward to much more coming from you. Yeah. And I don't know if you're going to offer any, if the Mocktail Club also offers classes, but sign us up.
I will be starting to do more educational content. Like I just released like a tequila alternative review, and that's something that I get asked a lot, recommendations and tasting notes. So that's something that I'm starting to do on my Instagram. So hopefully that kind of content helps people.
Oh, for sure. And thank you again, everybody. Look, Mr. Derick Santiago, thank you for coming on to our show. This has been like absolutely phenomenal. Thank you. Bye. So, y'all, tonight's show was incredible. We got a little bit of a slow start, but man, baby, once we got going, we did not stop. So this is definitely an episode that you want to share, you want to save this episode, you want to like it, you want to subscribe to our YouTube channel, because we plan on offering excellent content just like the show that we had tonight. And when I tell you this book here, The Mocktail Club, this is an absolute must in anyone's library who desires to be sober or sober curious. You have to have this in your library. Like, it's the picture. Okay, so I'm just crazy excited. I'm excited about us delving into this together. I'm excited to see how you're going to cook it up. Yes. And then I'm going to lay it down and go down with the dinner. What? Okay. So next week, we have another fantastic show in store. We actually are going to have Ms. Jacqueline Johnson. And next week's topic is actually going to be a little bit on the more so on the serious side, because we're going to be discussing the topic lit, youth and alcoholism. A lot of our young people, y'all, we may not want to acknowledge it, but a lot of our young people are becoming 11, 12, 13, 15 years old, and they are becoming bona fide alcoholics. So we really need to have this conversation. We need to know the signs. We need to know what can we do to make sobriety or sober lifestyle attractive to our young people. But we also need to know what's going on with them, what is triggering them, what is it that they're not able to cope with healthier ways of coping with things. How do we need to intervene as parents, as aunties and uncles and other family and community members? So next week, the 15th, pardon me, 15th, 2 weeks from today, 15th of February, we have Jacqueline Johnson, who's an advocate, and we're going to talk about the topic this, youth and alcoholism. So, I am Karima, and this is Sober Sophistication, a podcast where we discuss everything love, lifestyle, and of course, non-alcoholic wine. Oh, we had something we were supposed to be sipping on tonight, but we got so caught up in the conversation.
I was going to say, because everything talk about tea.
Yeah.
How it did, and for who are born to talk about how to use tea instead of alternative. I was like, wow, that was a perfect segue to what this is like. So, just so happens that we are sipping on this is from our sparkling tea collection. This is the latest one. This is called Mystical. And as you can see, this has essential, this is green tea, and it has citrus notes. And this is absolutely it's actually Earl Green essential. It's Earl Green tea. And the citrus is like lemongrass and it's orange peel. So those are some of the notes that you and that this actually really well after the things about lamb, oysters, calamari. Yes, actually.
I would love some, my love.
All right,
and look, we were so caught up in the conversation, we forgot to pour our glasses. So this is perfect. So we're going to have a sip on our way out the door on your behalf. Oh yes, this is like one of my favorite parts of what we do outside of meeting incredible Derick Santiago, who we also are able to partake in some amazing beverages. Ooh, this is delicious.
organic.
I can taste the green tea, but it's not like medicinal, right? Sometimes green tea is very medicinal. this is not that. It has it's just beautiful. It's absolutely light, but it's still very almost floral, but it's beautiful. It's absolutely
Find this on our website. MagnoliaPressing.com. Go ahead and order yourself. Trust me, you may not find it anyplace else. Come on to the website.
And also, we're official distributors and retailers of their sparkling tea collection. We carry all three. They have us listed on their global site. So I'm just putting that out there. That you're not going to find this everywhere, right? But you can always come to Magnolia Crescent. We got you covered. Okay? We have all three. Next week we will be fully restocked. I know many of you have been emailing and calling saying, when y'all gonna restock? Look, between the holidays and dry January, y'all bought us out. And we love you for it. Okay? We are not complaining. We love you for it. However, it took us a little bit of time to kind of go through everything and we're ready to have our new shipment here by next week. So we definitely want to do like we always do, and that is inform you as soon as our inventory is ready. All right. Thank you so much. We love you.